Good morning, APAC. Good morning. What an honor. Lillian, congratulations on your outstanding presidency, and it's great to be with you again this year. I also want to thank APAC's Executive Director, Howard Kaur, and I'm just thrilled to see all of the students in the audience. In you, I see our future. I want to especially recognize the nearly 1,000 Californians who are here today. And of course, including my dear friends and APAC board members, Anita Friedman and Sissy Swig and Amy Friedkin. And I'm proud to say and be that among the many voices represented here, the California delegation is the largest and hopefully the loudest. There you go. So having grown up in the Bay Area, I fondly remember those Jewish National Fund boxes that we would use to collect donations to plant trees for Israel. Years later, when I visited Israel for the first time, I saw the fruits of that effort and the Israeli ingenuity that has truly made a desert bloom. I soaked in the sights and sounds and smells of Jerusalem. I stood in Yad Vashem, devastated by the silent testimonies of the 6 million Jews that were murdered in the Holocaust. And we must always remember that solemn promise, never again. And I did what I often do when visiting a new country. I visited the highest court in the land. And as I toured Israel's Supreme Court, I was struck by the iconic architecture, which embodies Israel's founding principles of democracy and rule of law. The design of that building left a lasting impression on me. Its straight lines, which represent the immutable nature of truth, while the curved walls and glass represent the fluid nature of tzedek, of justice.
Cyber is a real domain of power.
Perhaps you can understand
Well, howdy, internet friends. What an exciting, crazy old time. I'm sure you'll agree. Today is the 7th of November. It's Saturday, November 7, 2020. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm not actually in Austin, Texas. I'm in that time. My name is Brendan Lee O'Connell. I'm an Australian on the run in a secret location. Yes, Pablo, I'll see you in a minute. Let's talk about the election briefly. I don't want to be any more than 10 or 15 minutes. I always say that. I'm just going to show you David Knight calling out Steve Pieczenik and calling him a lying piece of garbage. And then we'll go into all this watermark Q stuff. And then we'll go into, first of all, a big congratulations to the winner of the presidential election, President Netanyahu of Israel, who, of course, as we know, which is the foundation of everything we do. No matter what happens on the surface in America, Israel always wins. And we've all seen Kamala Harris fawning over Israel, the Israeli lobby at AIPAC. So we all know what the foundation will be. And of course, while all the fighting and infighting, potential civil war and all the nice scenarios and all the bad scenarios are put out there in the next 79 days, one thing we know for sure, if you didn't know, while Americans are preoccupied, Iran is now making peace with Israel as we speak. The Belt and Road moves ahead. The Oda-Janon, the reshaping of the Middle East for the Belt and Road project, and the Pan-Eurasian superstate goes on. You can take that to the bank. All else is flim-flam. It doesn't matter left wing and it doesn't matter right wing. Rothschild always rules. He runs them all. And I've said it over and over and over. Tactically, it's extremely difficult to predict, particularly with data analytics. With the data analytics, they can incrementally move forward, move back, move to the side, move to the left. They're that good, the data analytics. They're not like this big lurching monster they were 15 years ago. It really is a bar fight. But rest assured, we know that foundation, that Israel always comes out on top. The forward firebase for the City of London, Rothschild banking cartel, Paris, London, Frankfurt, Germany, Bern, Switzerland, Zurich, the World Jewish Congress and the Lauders, and of course Wall Street, Chicago, Miami. As Professor Norman Finkelstein said, and as I said at my trial, may the warmongers in Miami, Tel Aviv, Chicago and New York be brought to justice. And at this rate, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But that's not their fault, that's your fault, because you haven't been doing anything. And I've got a few plans up my sleeve, and I've been chatting with a few people, and we're going to get some stuff together and start getting some Americans out there on the street, God willing. Let's get down to David Knight. It's very interesting what he has to say. So David Knight is going to now ask simple questions, which I've asked, and I'm sure you've asked. What is it with all this playing around? He's got executive authority. He can literally lay down the law like a dictator. Obama did it constantly. Abraham Lincoln has done it. Every president's done it, but not Donald Trump. Oh, the media's picking on us all, us conservatives. I can't do anything. I'm just the president. What can I do? Let's just keep going. I really hope... I've got to have a bet that they're not just going to walk away. How is Trump going to live safely? There's a very lot of well-armed patriots aren't going to be very happy, and that goes for you too, Alex Jones. Anyway, David Knight is a breath of fresh air and perhaps adjusting the sails for the new make more money for InfoWars. We'll see, won't we? Listen up.
Censor you, and they're going to put out their narrative. So I don't see that's going to do anything other than to create a forest fire of chaos. And instead of lighting more forest fires, why wouldn't you put out the primary forest fire, which was the lockdown? And you could have taken out this corruption with credibility if you had taken on Fauci and exposed his corruption.
Fauci's too powerful, David. Fauci! All 4'8" of him. You know, sack General Mattis, highly respected Marine Corps general. Not a problem. Taunt Mattis, laugh at Mattis, laugh at neocons, laugh at some of the most powerful people in the United States, but little 4'8" Fauci, Trump is quaking in his boots. Oh no, Fauci!
At that point, it would have been the Russiagate, it would have been the Fauci takeover and lockdown, and people would have believed this. But instead, we're supposed to believe there's some kind of Machiavellian secret plan that we should just trust while the U.S. burns in chaos. Maybe that is ultimately the plan. Look.
It could be, David. I mean, as the wonderful Steve Pieczenik said, industry can move south. I've heard California 2 years ago was going to get it badly, of all the states in America, and you were going to see a shift away. down into the south, industry moving south and technology. But I guess that remains to be seen before that takes place. But we will see. Let's let David carry on.
Pizzagate. I don't allow Pieczenik to come on this show because last time he came on this show was right after the shooting in Vegas. He came on this show to sell the lie that nobody died in Vegas because he's trying to trap me. This guy is a CIA shill.
Jeez, no shit, Sherlock. I'd say without doubt in the last last 4 years, Pieczenik has shown himself to be exactly that. He got in, he told us all about Israel doing 9/11. I don't know if you saw the anniversary special of him talking. I mean, it's just a joke. It's such a joke, I just don't want to do it anymore. But anyway, we've gone from Israel doing 9/11 and naming names to it was all Saudi and it was someone else and it was this, and then they avoided the question and finally mentioned Israel once in the anniversary. Anyway, you know, I don't have to tell you. You know what's going on.
And he comes on to trap us. That's one of the ways that they discredit you. I'm not having anything to do with that. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
So, he goes on to say many other interesting things, and we'll go back to him in a second. If you would like to see Pieczenik in all his glory, I am banned off YouTube for a week due to inappropriate content. Other people said they had bullying or cyberbullying, I don't know. But I had transgender stuff up there. I didn't think it was insulting, but you know, the age in which we live, maybe it was that. Anyway, I'll re-edit that when I'm back on YouTube and see what happens. Maybe it was Whitney Webb complaining. But if you want to see Pieczenik in his full glory, 127 rats in the ranks, Donology, Roger Stone, blah blah blah, go and watch that video. Let's get back to a bit more David Knight.
There's a lot of things, not just one thing that's happening. Things happening. We got a rigged election, but we've had a lockdown. We've had 100,000 businesses being driven out of business. We've had a communist system of universal basic income imposed on us and everything else. We're going to be talking to Richard Proctor coming up. Before we get to Richard, I just want to finish up one thing I ran out of time on. I'll tell you exactly why I think this election is running this way. Here's my conspiracy theory.
All right, now, in this I definitely agree with David Knight. Listen up. Remember how corrupt the election is? Well, you know how you're going to fix it, don't you? Let David Knight explain.
It's just a theory. This is my conspiracy theory. I think that the deep state, the CIA, the entrenched government, whatever you want to call it, I think that the plan has...
Try Israel, mate. Zionism, Israeli firsters, Jewish power, banking houses, Rothschild, Kissinger, Soros, anytime you like, David.
If they really want to control finally and fully the elections, they're going to do it electronically.
Bingo! And on November the 3rd, thank you to the people that sent me these links, can Microsoft's Election Guard help the 300 million voting system industry? What did we tell little Whitney and little Adam Green and the rest of them? You don't just mention it once. You mention it over and over and over again. Israel, running Election Guard, running Microsoft. And if you're new to this, you need to go to my channel, Brendan O'Connell. I watched the first 11 videos. Well, you can watch more. In fact, you should watch them all. Watch them all the way from number 2 to number 1 up here. But watch them all's even better. And we'll go into stuff about particularly Israel and Unit 8200 take over New York and the Pentagon, Israel and Microsoft, all the penetration, all that's going on in the technology industry. So, Microsoft Election Guard, at a time when big tech increasingly faces scrutiny for compromising democracy rather than protecting it. Microsoft/Israel, which do all the online security for Windows, they do it for the Microsoft Security Center, the core kernel coding of Windows, they do it for Microsoft 360 and of course the Pentagon Cloud. Microsoft wants to restore trust among voters with this Election Guard software. It was first tested during an election earlier this year in Fulton, Wisconsin, as part of the company's, quote, Defending Democracy project. It's possible this new software could further reduce an already low amount of voter machine tampering by making voting more modern and equitable for marginalized communities who are most impacted by voter fraud. That would be conservatives. And there was an article back in February 2020. Of course, all this stuff about super secret Steve Pieczenik, the watermark, of course, that was first postulated in 2018 by the Department of Homeland Security. That was no secret. He's full of horsepucky. Totally full of horsepucky. We should just read this little bit by the head of Microsoft Israel, just so you get how powerful Israel is and how it's running Microsoft at its core. This is from Israel 21C. This is a very big online high technology site based in Israel. 10 great reasons why Microsoft loves Israeli ingenuity. This is from 2018. Doesn't have the date. Where is it? Oh, it's 2016, March 3rd, 2016. In 2014 and 2015, Microsoft acquired Israeli startups Arato, Adalom, and Secure Islands. And of course, Adalom was started by Telpiot program, Israeli military intelligence graduates, to enhance its security technology. Takeshi Nomoto, Microsoft's vice president for cloud and enterprise marketing, stated in 2015 that the Israeli startup's technologies will be used in Microsoft's cloud services such as Azure and Office 365 and on Windows. Quote, numerous reports suggest that the multinational company is transforming its Israeli R&D centers into the nucleus for global development of cyber tech for Windows and Microsoft cloud services. Hello, it's full of Russian emigres, GRU, SFB, SVU. Hello, it's the biggest espionage case in history ever. It makes Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy look tame. What can I tell you? If you want to know about it, read my UN document below, my refugee document. And it's the whole story there. How the Israeli state came out against me, the ambassador, the Israeli deputy foreign minister, the Australian foreign minister. It's all, I can't even be bothered talking about it. Anyway. And here's the article which Steve Pieczenik missed. Thank you to the people who sent it. This is from August 2018. Department of Homeland Security chief calls on officials in all 50 states to have verifiable ballots by 2020 election. Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen on Wednesday called on election officials in all 50 states to ensure that ballots used during the 2020 presidential election are able to be audited. Nielsen told a group of reporters touring the Department of Homeland Security's National Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Center in Arlington, Virginia, that she wants, quote, all state and local election officials to make certain that by 2020 presidential election, every American votes on a verifiable and auditable ballot. Nielsen listed 3 ways states could audit their ballots: by using paper ballots, machines that print out an individual's vote so it can be verified that the machine correctly tabulated their choice, or using machines that send a duplication transmission when someone votes. There are other articles, I haven't got them up and I can't be bothered, which actually talk about a special watermark linked in with blockchain. So this is not a super secret deal. So meanwhile, while everyone is extremely busy and extremely stressed out, with the election, let's have a look what Iran's doing. Iran to send gamers to Israel for international esports competition. Don't laugh, online gaming is massive and it's the future. You're going to have 8K photorealistic games. If any of you have played COD Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, you will know how immersive and realistic it is now, and we're not even close to what it's going to be. This is from November the 3rd, 2020, on Election Day. Iran to send gamers to Israel for international esports competition. Other countries without ties to Israel, such as Indonesia and Malaysia, have also expressed interest in coming should they qualify in the upcoming tournament for their region. Iran will send representatives to compete in the International Esports World Championship in Elliot this February, representing a significant departure from its long-standing policy. And the ongoing reshaping of the Middle East is just humming along beautifully, the Belt and Roads humming along beautifully while Americans were preoccupied. And I will get back to what I say in all my videos. They're going to probably, if they don't take out the CCP, they are going to form the United States, form the Pan-Eurasian superstate, and they're going to get Israel, Russia, China, and Iran working together in the Belt and Road, developing Eurasia, while North and South America are developed, and the CCP is continually pushed as the enemy, while Israel supplies both Russia and China with the latest technology, potentially including the F-22 Super Cruise and other things that Russia and China are hanging to get their hands on. That's definitely in the works. Don't laugh. And remember, if Trump does decide to leave, he will hand over Israel whatever it wants. Either way, Bibi will screw America for every dime he can screw out of them in this very tense period. There's Malaysia. How about visas for Israelis? Malaysia's all, oh, boo, Israel. And then the leadership are all talking to Israel. I mean, the best Mahathir could do, he called Jews had big noses. He has his poxy little conferences. Meanwhile, he doesn't talk about Chabad Lubavitch. He doesn't talk about the Talmud, Shulchan Aruch. He doesn't talk about Jewish racial and religious supremacism, the Hasidim, the ultra-Orthodox. He doesn't talk about Chabad Lubavitch. He doesn't talk about all the things we talk about. Instead, he just says Jews had big noses and incites like an idiot. And we need to go into the concept of Jewish power. And we need to look at the article by British Jewish activist Paul Eisen, who I used to communicate with when I got out of jail. Paul Eisen, of course, is very good friends with Jeremy Corbyn. And you'll understand why the Jewish Board of Deputies had a heart attack when Corbyn was running and there was little Paul Eisen. In fact, let's quickly cut just for a second to Jewish Power, the article by my favourite Jewish activist, Paul Eisen. I live by his article. I literally live by it. And this is it right here. Paul Eisen, August 19th, 2004, Jewish Power. The crime against the Palestinian people is being committed by a Jewish state with Jewish soldiers using weapons displaying Jewish religious symbols and with the full support and complicity of the overwhelming mass of organised Jews worldwide. But to name Jews as responsible for this crime seems impossible to do. You must read this article. It is the best. It is verbal judo. It's something I live by, and it's something you should live by. Jewish Power. Are you separating that Jewish elite like you separate the Vatican from ordinary Catholics? You've got to make those distinctions. But I'm going to read that whole thing very nicely in the coming week. On this little week off I've got from YouTube, I'm going to read it nicely into the microphone so you can listen to it. It is an absolute must read. The link is below. Going on to here, the Israeli delegation in Malaysia for the UN Habitat Conference. Israeli delegation visits Malaysia for the UN Habitat Conference following diplomatic pressure. I was actually in Kuala Lumpur when that was on, but I didn't realise there was an Israeli delegation there. When you understand Malaysian politics, the fact that they were there showed the massive changes that were already taking place in 2018. At that stage, the Prime Minister Najib Razak was about to lose the election to Mahathir Mohamad. And Najib Razak was involved in the 1MDB scandal, which was, I think it was upwards of $4 to $7 billion US stolen out of the treasury there. It involved Joe Low, Chinese intelligence, you name it. I'm not going to go into it, but it was massive, and I landed right in the middle of it after Iran. I mean, I couldn't catch a break personally. It was one scandal to the next. Anyway, former Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, David Rowett, indicated that Malaysia would not be establishing diplomatic ties with Israel anytime soon, like hell, imminent any day. Although he did meet with senior Malaysian officials, Rowett reportedly told the officials that Israel is open to relations and does not view Malaysia as an enemy. And of course, the elite, I'd met a woman who was Malay, Muslim, many brothers in the military, a big family, and she looked at me and said, "Brendan, you love Mahathir." But I said, "Have a look around." She said, "Have a look around. What do you see?" I said, "Oh, it's a very nice city." She said, "Yeah, it's beautiful. Look at it. Look how well developed we are." She said, "Do you think we got that with Mahathir taking on the Yahud?" Do you? Yahud is what the Arabic for Jews. Do you think he got that? And of course, as you know, good old Malaysia, the Kuala Lumpur Twin Towers, Yochum and Boas and the Blood Moon. Let's cut to that. These are the Twin Towers and the Blood Moon. I think it was July 25th, 2018. Was it 2018 or 2019? God, I can't remember. Yeah, 2018. July 25th, 2018. And it was right between the towers, and it lined up directly with the Bank of China. It's the Bank of Malay China. And you can see the beautiful all-seeing eye on top. And you can see it there. I miss Kuala Lumpur. It's my favourite city. It's cheap. It's modern. It's technology everywhere. You can live, on nothing. I was living 2 kilometres from this building in a beautiful place. I was paying 110 Australian dollars a week. Guard, security, pool, sauna. It's so cheap. And you can fly anywhere cheaply. I mean, I never went anywhere outside the CBD. I didn't even go to Penang, for God's sake. I had to leave though because of the deep in bed with the CCP. Deep in bed with the CCP now, China. I miss Malaysia. It's just a fantastic place. Stunningly beautiful. Met some great people there. Royal Malaysian Police. Many others went to the Islamic College. Had some great chats and ate with the guys down there. Again, the ordinary people know the score, but the elites are just sold out. Closet homosexuals, there's Sharia law there, so they're all compromised and all living in bed with good old Rothschild. So the blood moon was running straight between those towers to the all-seeing eye and the pyramid. It's pure city of London. And these are some pictures. This is Joachim and Boas in Freemasonry, and you'll see how it's even got the nice little bit there. How perfect is that? I was told that was put in post after World Trade Center went down. They put that in, but isn't it nice how it lines up with that there, with a nice obelisk in the background? It's another picture, and Joachim and Boas out of Masonry. Okay, well, let's leave it at that. I don't know much else to say. You've seen the horse bucky going on. Tactically, who knows what's going to happen. But Israel always wins again. Congratulations to President Bibi of America. He'll get whatever he wants, as usual. There are still variables such as the laptop. If you don't know about the Biden laptop from hell, it is the laptop from hell. There are clearly pictures there of the daughter of the Obamas doing coke, sticking her ass in the... And I must admit, it is a very fine ass. And I don't believe for a second that laptop was left. They've had that laptop for a long time. If they had the laptop at all, I'd like to see the laptop, or they had an image of the laptop, or that data was removed very easily. I've had them remove stuff off me, even with my very high security, even with the customization of Windows 10. They blow past the best software firewall. You can't even buy it. It's corporate. To apply it, you have to apply. You have to have a corporate email, and then you have to ask, any chance I can buy this software? You can't buy it. It's the best. They blow past it like it's not even there. It's all in hardware. It's all in hardware. So they're going to have to explain that laptop, not just with the sexual stuff, including clearly young children involved, criminal, but also the severe allegations that they are directly involved with the Chinese intelligence, Chinese government, PLA, etc. That's not going away. So the variables here are so many. I need a data analytics supercomputer. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know the Belt and Road is continuing. The Pan-Eurasian Superstate is continuing. There must be one thing go in, preferably by Christmas, but maybe later, certainly no later than March. You'll see the crypto beast system being implemented. We're going to have a talk to the magical unicorn. He says Bitcoin is headed for a smash, meaning they're sucking people in, and there may well be a mandatory Bitcoin confiscation. We're going to have a chat with him about that. And it's going through the roof. Let's just... It's not that my heart isn't in it. It's just, I don't know. Everything that's said has been said in my videos. It's been said. I urge you to watch the latest, which was deleted off YouTube. Rats in the Ranks #3. That's on the link is below, my Telpiot channel on BitChute. There's also my YouTube channel still up for now. Watch them all, but certainly watch video 4 all the way up to video 1. Definitely. Video 4, you can watch the others too, to video 1, at least, and you will grasp everything we're talking about, particularly Israel's secret weapon, the Telpiot program, which goes into my case. And I'm going to do a full rundown and a professional video on my case using my UN refugee application as a template. Let's just have a quick look at that. Okay, the document is extremely large and it's extremely detailed, and but it's very easy to navigate. This is what I put into the UN Refugee Centre. I was well received by staff and we had a nice little chat. They were a little bit reluctant to said, look, basically, let me just quickly give you a rundown. I was told by a member of the UN that the chances of me getting, I deserved refugee status, everything that had happened to me. He said, number one, it's such high profile and involves Israel. Anything involving Jews, hate speech, because the whole point of the UNHCR refugee was because of the persecution of European Jews. That's what started that whole program. And don't tell me there wasn't real hardcore persecution of European Jews. I don't think it was necessary to drag Anne Frank out of an attic and put her in a work camp, particularly. Do you? What, one Rothschild was detained? Come on, work out Hitler, please. But anyway, this is a very easy document to navigate. It is excellent. You will go, look, one person said their sister read it and is this guy Jason Bourne? I'm telling you now, it's a movie. And they're going to try and attack me. Trust me, read my UN document. You can't attack me. The reason they do, I wouldn't play ball with them. I said we have to get out on the street. We've got to stop hanging around idiots. We've got to lobby politicians. We've got to lobby the military. They were just, no. not talking to you, not interested, because their job, like a Shadowgate and Patrick Berge says, is to keep people online, keep them in the ghettos, where the algorithms make sure they only argue amongst themselves. But I urge you to read this excellent, excellent document. And you can quickly navigate to, like my travel route, diary of the last 3 years, arriving Tehran, that's where I stayed in Tehran. I'm going to go into all of this in another document. That's the guy at the hotel, pretty cool guy. He's quite famous in his little Airbnb world. I mean, in the Expedia. He's really cool, very helpful. Limited English. That's where I sat with Iranian intelligence, Mr. Javed, or allegedly, that's his name, Mr. Javed. And we talked, and I couldn't translate the word submarine to him. It's very funny. It's an incredible document. And then you can just navigate backwards and forwards as simply as that. You know, phone call with lawyer Kevin Foley, and you can go directly to the video and audio where Kevin is saying, "I'm fear for my safety, Brendan." Tony Morris, QC, High Court appeals barrister, fears for his safety because of Israel. That's incredible. No one talks about it. Where's all their analysis of all these heroes that call me everything under the sun? Think about it. I'm literally untouchable on this. Just absolutely untouchable. And we'll go into post-prison charges and people saying I threatened to cut people's heads off. They're quoting the media. They could have easily read this stuff, and we'll go into some of that. You've got police prosecutor behaviour, transcript in February. It was excellent. There's just so much material you could go into. I was indicted for making a private telephone call public when I rang the foreign minister, who's of course best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. I was arrested. That's one of the charges still pending. Utilising a carriage device to cause offence. That was when I called a case officer for Israeli intelligence, Stephen Leiblich, Jewish community leader, graduate of the Israeli Defence Force and electrical engineering, most likely, Unit 8200. They raided my house. They dropped that and then put another garbage one ahead, the Hodgkinsons, and they claim I threatened to cut his head off. And people, instead of reading my material, which I've taken great pains to put together, read the media reporting. Here's the tampered for evidence, and let's just quickly, so for certain people that are claiming I threatened to cut someone's head off, this is what I actually said, and I warn them now, yeah, I'm going to get you. You just have to read. I mean, I've provided it for you, all right? This is what they said, transcript of my lawyer in court. This is when I said, hey, you fake, all this evidence is fake, it's been tampered with. And my lawyer says, Your Honour, detectives raided this man's house, that's me. They took his computers and produced a forensic report. Then Detective Valletta uses an email from the victim to produce the evidence? That's right, this email came from the guy who wanted me charged, right? He's a drug addict. And this is what I wrote on Facebook, but he cut it all up. It's in black and white, it's been cut up and rearranged. Hey mate, are you the guy that threatened Mustafa at his kebab shop? That's my friend Mustafa. Threatened to kill him in front of his kids. Get back to me urgently and I'll see if we can work things out. Right now, he wants ISIS to cut your head off. But I figure you value your job. That's what I said, meaning don't worry about Mustafa. He's just very angry and off his head at the moment. But I consider you value your job at BHP Billiton. But the guy's actually a drug addict, drug dealer, and multiple convictions for burglary and all sorts. You are in deep, deep shit. Iranian Press TV is coming over to interview Mustafa, and at that stage, the senior international correspondent wanted to come over. And you can go into all of that there and see it there, the whole thing. And then you can see the original in colour, and everything is in detail, and it shows you how they actually fabricated the evidence. And that's that's a 2-hour talk. But it will give you an idea of the level of lies and deceit that go on. And I just want to let all of you keep doing what you're doing, and we'll fix it all up. We'll go into later the briefing document, and myself and Sufyan are going to start producing material, including high quality posters and flyers you can start putting out. It's time to get busy. And I feel good just the last week, feel much better and ready to rock and roll. Briefing document, Israeli high technology and espionage. This is what we handed around in Beirut and other places. And Jeremy would rather hang out with crazy Dr. Barrett and good old nutcase Veterans Today bullshit artist Gordon Duff. And also later on we'll go into this PDF, which I put this into just before my trial on the 11th of January 2011. I go into the fact that on the front of the Perth District Court is a pyramid, which indicates it's under the control of Masonry. And I presented this to the court, and Chief Judge Martina, good Catholic lad, loved it. Loved it. I said, Your Honour, you haven't even read it. And he looked at me and he said, no, I've read it, every word. He loved it. And I show the pyramids on the Israeli Supreme Court building. We go into pyramid as a symbol of masonry. And I go into intimate detail. This is what I put before the Court of Western Australia. It's a first, nearly 10 years ago. And we're going to read that. I did it before. They took it straight down and banned my channel. All right, ladies and gents, let's leave it at that. It's a bit all over the place. Good luck, America. Look, whatever happens, things will work out one way or the other. Just remember this. Even the elect will be deceived if that were possible. Did I say this would be 15 minutes? I should really give up given time frames. Even the elect will be deceived if that were possible. So this new thing they're bringing in is going to be very slick and very nice. Look, the technology is amazing. I'm all for the technology, but technology that we control. But they're going to bring in that 5G surveillance state, fiber optic cables, self-driving vehicles. It's going to be awesome, man. But the ability for them with the crypto on your phone to just whack you out and have total control of your life, you're not even going to be able to eat. We're going to see the centralization of food production, of water. Guess who has all the technology to fix that? Our friend Israel, a blessing unto the nations. So it's all certainly very interesting, and it's unfolded before your eyes, and myself and others have warned, and we were polite. We were very kind to people like Whitney Webb and to places like True News who chose to just ignore us, take the information and not even give a shout out. Some did. Even Jake Morphonius gave me a shout out. But no one would interview, no one would give me the time of day. I was isolated and alone. We had Fred Smith, FedEx, Skull and Bones, one of the top level intelligence assets of in America, approaching me, friends with John Kerry, Henry Kissinger. We're going to go into all of that. I'm going to make it professional, very professional, using all the right language. I'm going to have to be cautious on YouTube, of course, because they'll say that's doxing him. And I'll show you these guys when I outed good old Joseph when he messed me around for the 400th time. And the first response out of all of those people, Cushell, McCarran, Adam Green, Ryan Dawson, was, oh, he's doxed Joseph. Not, oh my God, Fred Smith is Skull and Bones. He has lunch with W every week and his nephew's here and sending Brendan private photos of his uncle at home with his kids. Did they tell you about this? Cushell tell you about it? Did McCarran mention it? You know, they sometimes sound like people that might be doing a bit of shadowgate employment themselves, mightn't they? Mightn't they? We're going to talk about that in detail and why this never goes anywhere, why it stays online, and why I encountered so much resistance from these clowns. All Cushell had to do was say, Brendan, I love Cameron Barrett and I love Gordon Duff. They are saints. How dare you? I will never work with you. He never said that. He would just slink away like a little snake. Why? Because Jeremy wants to be friends with everyone. Because when you're reporting back to HQ, you want to be friends with everyone. You want to ignore stuff. Don't challenge. Just drift around and then appear like when I go into Beirut. With, you know, when close family, high-level executives at Disney. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. And I think this circumstantial case I'm going to bring to you is not about revenge or getting back at people. It's about showing you with the evidence, all of my material, pushing forward to you, showing simple thought questions like, well, if Alex Jones is their sworn enemy, where's Antifa and BLM at his studio, place of business in Austin, Texas? Where are they? So I'm going to ask you questions about that group so you begin to understand the levels of infiltration and that cross-promotion they do with each other. You'll understand, and then we've got to push people to get offline, and we're going to have to push hard to try and do something. I mean, I got nothing else planned. I washed my hair last week. I don't have to wash it again this weekend. So, you know, keep on tracking, everyone. There's lots to talk about, but I'm going to cut it short here. Ciao for now. Talk to you soon.